Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CKC channel. I'm your host, Fide Master Klaasen, and welcome to another reflection show, guys. And yes, this is a nice one. This is one of my friends in the chess world. He's a very nice guy, and a lot of people love to enjoy watching his chess. I don't know how many nicknames he has. Maybe one of them could be the South African Tal. Um, Never a dull moment. I've played him many times. And just for the viewers that are watching for the first time, maybe you can press the follow button. If you can't press the follow button, just make sure that you sign up. It's for free. There's somewhere at the bottom or at the top, there'll be a sign up button. Sign up quick and easy, free. Come back and press the follow button, which is usually a purple heart as well. And then once you're a follower, you can join us in the chat. Throw your questions in as quickly as possible, guys. First come, first serve. And then Shabir, my special guest, I jumped the gun there, will actually help with these questions. So something new for just this evening. Our good Dr. Boa won't be able to make it this evening, unfortunately. So I will take over the duties and pleasure of interviewing our special guest. So I think it's about time that we move over to the library. So I would like to introduce you guys to a former SA champion, former world amateur champion, and of course a Protea player for many years. Welcome, Dr. Fide Master Shabir Bhawoodien. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Calvin, and happy to be here and listening to the audience. And I'm open to questioning, and I'll try and answer to the best of my knowledge.
It's great having you here, Shabir. I've been trying to get Shabir on the show for a while now, guys. He's actually played in the CKC Invitational before. So, yeah, just happy to have him on the show. Of course, a SA legend in his own right. And people in the chat already, hi, scariest name. Early B, good evenings. Hello, Milky Shake. And not a question maybe, but just a comment here from Early B. And by the way, guys, throw in your questions. We will tend to them a bit later, maybe after 20 or so minutes. Early B says, very nice guy. Of course, he's talking about Shabir. Saw him once at an event and he was playing Blitz beforehand with the youngsters. Thanks, Early B, for that comment. And scariest name is already throwing something in there, so we'll have a look at it a bit later on. Okay, so yeah, guys, so we don't have London here, but I will do my best. London left me with some ideas here. So of course, with all our special guests, Shabir, we always start off by asking, so you've played chess for many years. You've had a great career. Tell me, where did it all start?
It started around about when I was about 7-8 years old, and in 1972, when Bobby Fischer was playing Boris Spassky, we were listening. At that age, I was listening to the radio broadcast of that match in Reykjavik, Iceland, and I have 6 brothers, and all of them were playing chess.
Oh, wow, okay.
I watched them, and they taught me to play, and then eventually, it didn't take me too long before I beat them. And they still played chess, but not actively.
Okay.
At that time, we were very restricted, so there was no tournaments, very few tournaments.
Okay.
In the 70s, yes.
Interesting stuff. So maybe I can just add to that question. I remember watching a documentary on Bobby Fischer. I mean, there's lots of them out there, but this one guy interviewed him, and they asked him, when did you start playing chess? I think he said 6 or 7, and then they asked him afterwards, so when did you start taking it serious? And he said, probably like 7. So you say you started around 7, 8. When did you really get into it?
Yeah, I started playing for Athlone Chess Club. That was my first chess club, and I started playing seriously probably at the age of about 12, 13.
Okay.
So by 1975, 1976, I was already playing active chess.
Okay.
And yes.
Interesting
and then,
stuff.
We had SACOS at that time, and the few tournaments that we had, I think I walked away with all those little tournaments in the 70s. And I was playing seniors as well.
Okay, lovely. So
yes.
you got in quite early.
Quite early.
By the way, Isvan in the chat, we all know Isvan, of course. Welcome, Isvan, one of our regulars on the show. He says, greetings to Coach Calvin and our distinguished guest, FM Shabir, Dr. Shabir Bhawoodien. So yeah, thanks, Isvan. Welcome to the show as well. It's good to see some questions in the chat box already, guys. Keep them coming.
Thanks.
Okay, so now, so tell us about chess in the 1980s. What can you tell us about the 1980s?
Yeah, in the 1980s, we were still playing under the banner of SACOS, and we had very few tournaments, although the other side had tournaments and they had a lot of sponsorship from Odem and a lot of companies, but SACOS was very limited in their tournaments. But we had our regular schools tournaments. I was at Harold Cressy, and Mr. Ritchie was the chess organizer at that time.
Okay.
And we used to play regularly league and inter-schools. And I remember Roland Willenberg, our stalwart. He played for Spesbona.
Yes.
And Mark Lewis and Jeremy Lewis and Andrew Talmarcus. Those were all avid chess players. And we used to play matches against each other. Harold Cressy versus Spesbona versus Livingston. Umar Iso was playing as well. There was a lot of the players that at that time were still playing today.
Yes, I was going to say.
Our senior guys.
All these names that you've mentioned, strangely enough, I know almost all of those names. Very, very, very good to,
actually, the Willenbergs were like the family, and the Lewis brothers were like the starting of chess in the Western Cape.
Okay.
Because they always, and obviously they started the Steiners Chess Club, which made a major impact on chess at that time. It was almost like a renaissance of chess already in the 80s with the Willenbergs and Lewis brothers and all the other senior players like Fasih Mani and Gordon Lawrence. There was other people as well. Van Reenen was also very actively involved with chess.
Yes.
And he was running Athlone Chess Club, and most of the juniors were poached by him to come and play at Athlone Chess Club.
Okay.
And then we had our juniors versus seniors. That was organized by the schools tournaments.
That sounds very cool, by the way.
At Spesbona, you would have like about 200 players. All the schools would come there and play there because they had a big hall.
Okay.
And from there, chess just started becoming a regular sport for our guys in the Western Cape. And then we also had interprovincials. We used to go to Durban and Port Elizabeth. There was also some very strong players, and chess was taken up very seriously. Lyndon Bauer, for instance, started in the Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
And there was always that regular interaction with other provinces. But this was all under the banner of SACOS.
Yes.
And then we also had some very strong players like Dion Solomons, for instance, and the Willenbergs. They created, like I said, a real chess gathering always. It was very, very exciting. Yeah.
Wow, it sounds interesting. Sounds very active that time as well. So
yes.
Very exciting. By the way, thank you to Dion Brandt for following. Welcome, Dion. And Dion says hi, Doc, in the chat. So yeah, interesting stuff, Shabir.
And I just want to make a quote as well. It's just the beauty of chess is it can be whatever you want it to be. It transcends languages, age, race, religion, politics, gender, and even socioeconomic backgrounds. And chess is that type of sport that brings people together all across the world.
Definitely. Good quote. Good one. Okay, right. Thanks, Shabir. And now the next question I have is, you won the SA Closed in 1986 and then was joined first in East London in 1987. How did you prepare? Was it only books in those days?
Yes, we only had books, and I was always reading Bobby Fischer's games, studying his games, the 1972 World Championship. And then I also studied a lot of the contemporaries like Alekine, Smyslov. Smyslov was one of the great endgame players, Rook endgame players.
Yeah.
And then I studied the other players like Morphy, Steinitz, Tatakova, Rubinstein. And most of my knowledge was acquired through books. I used to go to the library and do my research and study openings. Openings was my specialty then.
Okay.
And especially attacking type of openings like the Marshall attack and King's Gambit. And yeah, all my openings were like Gambit openings. Most of my openings was concentrating on not so much positional, but more tactical.
I see. And so tell me, one thing that sticks out kind of, I have to ask you. So you've mentioned so many great players. Is Tau also in that list? Because I mean,
oh yes, Tau was one of my Tau was one of my the great guys that I had books on Tau, and I studied these games quite in depth because it suited my style. It suited my style of play.
Okay, yes. Okay. And tell me, that 1986 close that you won, was it a tough one for you? How old were you, more or less? Were you still young? And who was your main competitors?
At the time I was 23.
Okay.
And I played against players from PE, I think, as well as from Durban.
Okay.
And it was a 10-round tournament.
Okay.
Which I think I got 9.5 or 10. I'm not sure if it was a clean score.
Okay.
But I think I was well prepared for it.
Okay.
Very well prepared.
All right. All right.
And the only problem there was that those days people didn't have access to so much theory and books. So whatever I studied, I probably had to study to play internationally instead of South Africa, because I was a bit advanced in my studies, in my openings. Like I was writing theory on the poison pawn variation in the Najdorf back then.
Okay.
I still got that theory today. And I was writing theory on the open Rai Lopez, which I still have today in books written by myself.
Interesting.
So I studied quite a bit, but I could never use it much. It's when I met people like Watu Kobesi later on that we started discussing openings and theory. And I could at least use that type of openings with Watu in friendlies and in serious games. In fact, my first encounter with Watu Kobesi was an open Rai Lopez, because I had seen some of Watu's games. There was a SA magazine that was showing some of the top players. And so I had to study against top players like Watu Kobesi that time, back then.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting stuff. Then I've got here, you played in many events. What was your favorite?
International or South African?
Well, maybe we can make it a two-part question, international and South African.
Firstly, I played in the Commonwealth in India. It was early 2000s. Therefore, it was very interesting because I played against, it was probably my first big international tournament.
Okay.
And I came up against some very strong players. And in India, they thought that I'm actually from India itself.
Okay.
But they were, to their surprise, I told them now I'm from South Africa, because some of those GMs became my friends, like Lakshman and there was others, Adiban, but he was still young.
Yeah.
And I've studied some of their games as well. So when I played in India, they were surprised to see that I could actually beat some of their strong players. And okay, that was my Commonwealth experience. And then I played in South Africa. I played in my first big achievement was when I went to go and play in Johannesburg.
Okay.
The SA Open.
Yeah.
That was in 1990. Okay. I wasn't supposed to.
Okay.
And then James Plaskett played there. And David Gluckman also played.
Okay.
And Mark Rubery. All the top players, but not from the Sakos side. So I had a little issue with Sakos at the time.
Okay.
Because I played against Donald McFarlane. And I was banned to play.
Okay.
Non-racial chess. I just bring it in, but I don't want to go into the politics of that now. Yeah. So then I played. Then I played in the SA Open. There, it was like the other side.
Yes.
So I remember my game in the last round. Took me 9.5 hours to beat David Gluckman.
Oh wow! Okay, that's a marathon. Literally.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Plaskett had a half a point ahead of me.
Yeah.
But I was awarded the South African title.
Aha, okay, because he's international, of course.
Yes.
Okay.
And Plaskett is still my friend now. We've chatted many times. James Plaskett was also on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh, okay.
And he did very well. Yes,
okay.
You must watch it. Very interesting. So then I played in most of the Sakos tournaments that I played in. I did quite well. My strong competition came from people like Dion Solomons, Fasih Mani, Gordon Lawrence. So most of my tournaments that I played that time was for Sakos. That's now the 80s.
Yeah.
All right. And then only in the 90s, middle 90s, when things opened up, that I started having, in fact, I took a break then. In the early 90s, I took a break because I just felt that there wasn't enough chess for us, you know.
Okay.
And then when things opened up, we started playing regular tournaments again.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I traveled quite a bit to go play. And I played in New York. I played against William Lombardi. That was Grandmaster William Lombardi was Fischer's second.
Yes.
And we became very good friends.
Okay.
We used to have late night chats about Fischer, about chess in general, and things like that.
That must have been nice.
Yeah, he was Fischer's second. So he was telling me how stubborn Fischer was when they were busy discussing games. And Fischer told him one day that, you know what, you shouldn't even be a grandmaster. How can you come and coach me? But in any case, they were close. Yeah. And then my other experience was when I met Michael Nador.
Oh, nice.
And there was like about 30 people watching us playing Blitz. Oof. Because at that was in the 90s, middle 90s. Yes.
Where was that, by the way? Where did you play?
It was in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Okay.
Yes. So he called me, Michael Nador was laughing at me because I was playing the martial attack against him.
Okay.
And then he called me the Indian magician.
All right. Interesting stuff.
Of the 5 games we played, I managed to win 1 and draw 1.
Okay, nice.
But that was Blitz, and he was probably in his late 70s at the time.
Okay.
But he was still playing very, very well.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then we had the opportunity to discuss the invention of his Nonstop, because that was named after him.
Yes. Wow, that is priceless to do that.
It was it was fantastic. Actually, and I took him for coffee as well. So he was discussing with me about various grandmasters that followed his lines later on, the Russians, like Polugaevsky and all the other Spassky, and Fischer even started playing the non-stop that time. So it was very interesting. And then I also met Evgeny Shaveshnikov. That I met him at the seniors tournament that he played. I was discussing some of his lines with him. But it's amazing at his age, he's in his late 60s or early 70s.
Yeah.
So you just feel different when you speak to these people about chess and the theory and the advancements of chess theory. It's just a wonderful experience. Just speaking to them, I think increases your rating points by about 60 to 100 points.
I know that sounds amazing. Talking to Naidov and Sveznikov in one lifetime. That's great. So but maybe can I just refine that answer, Shabir? Any specific tournament over your span of your career that is maybe your favorite, SA Closed or SA Open or anything like that, would be called your favorite locally?
Look, in the 90s, I played in most of the SA Closed and SA Opens. So I didn't take my chess too seriously in the 90s.
Okay.
After all this political upheaval and all that crap that was going on in chess, that eventually, I just played mainly to enjoy myself with chess tournaments. It wasn't the same. I didn't have the same how can I say, the zest to win like I did in the 80s. Yes.
So no specific name that comes to mind. Okay, let's leave it at that.
Look, I played in the PE tournament. That was great. That was also the SA Open. That must have been in the late 80s.
Okay.
Okay,
cool.
So most of these tournaments I did quite well. There was games, the interesting games that I played in the SA Closed, which I also did quite well.
Yes.
Playing people like Charles de Villiers, Daniel Caudry, and I got good results.
Great stuff. So, by the way, welcome to Zinger Wings. Thanks for the follow. So I think, guys, let me switch over to the viewer questions. I've got more questions here for you as well, Shabir, but let's switch over to some viewer questions. Let's see. Let's go to the top. Okay. So the first thing that I can see here in the chat box from Scariest Name, we all know Scariest Names as Vero. Thanks to 4U24 for following as well. And Vero is asking here, okay, I don't fully understand the question, Shabs. Maybe you can tell me. He says, remember the Korchnoi question. Does anything come to mind? Why is he saying this? Maybe, Scariest Name, you should complete this question for us. Any Korchnoi stories?
The only thing I had against Korchnoi, and I mean, I respect him as a great player.
Yeah.
The fact that he came to South Africa to come and play in South Africa, and maybe that question, I disliked him, and I never really wanted to. In fact, I was invited to come and meet him. I was even given a ticket to come and meet him in Johannesburg. And then I remember seeing him playing against Walter Kobesi on TV, and I refused to meet him.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know, Scariest Name. Maybe a proper question or complete question would be helpful.
But that's the only thing I remember about Korchnoi.
Okay, thanks.
If he's referring to that.
Thanks, Shabir. And then here we got a question from Early B. From the title, it's Dr. Bhawoodien, so assume profession. Most of discussions question. Okay, I'm just reading what they're saying here. Tell us about how one applies lessons from private career to chess, and how does one again apply chess concepts to one's private career? Where does one find the time to focus on both? Thanks for the question, Ali B.
That's a very good question, because I think to become a grandmaster, you have to only play chess. Viswanathan Anand says that if you're not a grandmaster today at the age of 14, it's very difficult for you to become a grandmaster.
Yes.
But there was an Indian player that just became a grandmaster now at the age in the late 40s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the late 40s or 50s, whatever, early 50s. But it's very difficult. It's a balancing act where you've got a professional career, which I concentrated on my career in the 90s. That's why I wasn't that active. But to maintain your level of performance, it's very difficult when you've got a private career. Like in my case, I'm practicing. I'm always busy in my practice, so I have very little time to play chess. The only time that I really get is to play a bit of blitz.
Yes.
And when I get to tournaments, I'm always playing the juniors to let them become strong. I like to see the juniors playing good blitz games and play against the older players, so that they can also get the practice. I just love doing that. Whenever I'm at the tournament hall, I'll invite all the youngsters to come and play. And then I would even make a joke, did you fill in the entry form? And I would elect somebody, just fill in the application form for this chap to come and play. So, yeah, but having a private career and playing chess is very difficult.
And
it's
then
very, very difficult. But I've tried very hard to keep my chess, to keep up with my chess and concentrate on my career.
And then maybe just something from that question as well, Shabir. How did your private sector get affected by being a chess player? We all know the thing with a lot of people say that chess players think differently. Is it that chess affect you in any way to help your private sector, or is it really separated the two?
Chess is a gymnasium for the mind. It opens up a kaleidoscope of things for you in life. Chess is life. Playing the opening, you must play it like a book, okay? The middle game, and the first, Rudolf Spielmann said this, the middle game is like you have to play it like a magician. And the end game, you have to play it like a machine. So you have to keep up to those kind of principles in chess. It does affect your private life, because the issue is when you've got a family, you have to concentrate on your family as well. So you can't just concentrate on chess. But chess does open up a lot of things for you in life. I mean, chess, you meet a lot of people all across the world. So, and it makes you, chess is like life, it's very enjoyable, and it gives you a lot of satisfaction.
Definitely,
out of life.
I can agree to that one. Thanks, Shabir.
Yeah.
So, next question in the chat is from Milky Shake Shake. Milky Shake says, who would you say was your biggest chess rival in SA back in the day? That's a good one. I like that question. Thanks, Milky Shake.
In my junior days, I had to play Fasih Mani, okay? Fasih Mani was already a seasoned theorist. He used to play the French defense always.
Okay.
And he used to play knight to h6, allowing bishop takes h6, and doubling the rook pawns. But later on, I had to study against things like that, which wasn't actually in the books.
Yes.
And then, yeah, he often used to play d4, and I had to play the King's Indian. And he himself was a master of the King's Indian. So I had to play people like Gordon Lawrence, Fasih Mani. I'm talking about the older players.
Yeah.
The younger players, Lyndon Bower came afterwards. He was also quite a upcoming rising star in PE.
Yes.
And he has proven himself over the years with being such a good player as well. And then Dion Solomons, Maxwell Solomons, also very strong players. Kenny Solomons came afterwards. And there was Mark Lewis as well, who was also a strong player at the time. So I can only speak about the players that I was exposed to in Sakos.
Okay.
I didn't play Gluckman and Levitt and these players. They were all on the other side. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that one. Some good names that I heard over there. So definitely some names, guys, that you can go and do research on and check out these games. You have a mega base. So yeah, thanks for that answer, Shabir. And then Mozair, of course, that's we all know Mozair. That's Dr. Shab's son, Mohammed. He's saying here, and Nezmetdinov.
Rashid
Yes.
Nezmetdinov.
So that's all that he said. I'm assuming you know the question, maybe, or what does he?
No, I don't know the question.
So that's all that Mozair typed over there.
Rashid Nezmetdinov was a great player. He wasn't awarded a Grandmaster title, but I think posthumously they should be giving it to him because he was the only player that beat some of the world champions, like he even beat Michael Tal. And Sultan Khan is another player that one mustn't forget about.
Okay.
He came from India, and he was working for some bureaucrats in England, and then they saw that this guy is very talented in chess. But then he also beat Alakan, Capablanca, and some of the top players. But then he just disappeared into the abyss when he went back to India. And he was a naturally gifted player. He didn't study theory and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Rashid Nezmetdinov was one of the great players. A lot of tactical games is still attributed to him.
Tal's trainer. I remember
seeing he beat Tal a few times as well.
I remember checking out one book of Tal's compilation of games, and then he's also on the cover. Nezmet. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but yeah. And then I'll see how many questions we can still do, and then we have to move on, guys. And
don't forget about my great friend Lev Polugaevsky.
Aha. Okay,
yeah, he was also one of my great guys that I followed up because of his active lines that he played in chess.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the Polgayevsky line in the Sicilian, you can already see.
It's mind-boggling.
Yes,
mind-boggling.
So yeah. And okay, let's see. From Dion Brandt, he says, question for the doc: do you think it is better for chess players to read the books, or now with the web interaction to do it all online? What's better, online or books?
I'm still of the old school of thought, and I still read a lot of chess books. I do study games on the internet and web, but the problem is it makes you lazy to think. When you see these things with the engines, by the way, I don't believe in analyzing every game with engines. It makes you lazy because you have to think. When you work out a certain line and then you see, oh, but the engine also gives that line, it makes you feel more deserved that you're putting something into the game.
Yeah.
And most of the top players also, they'll leave the engine running, but they still, most of it's self-taught. You have to be intuitive and in your analysis of games.
Yes.
Not just rely on the engine. It's an aid, but it's not going to be something that's going to make you very strong at all. And if you read books, if you see a certain illustrative game in a book, it's maybe your favorite line of the nudge door or dragon variation or something, you feel you want to analyze it better with the book. It's easier, I'd say.
Okay.
And not just rely on the computer.
No, fully agreed. I think books are still very relevant.
Very relevant.
That's very important. Thanks, Shabir. And let's try to do one or two more questions, guys. I'm loving the questions. So let's continue with it. Let's see. So Istvan, by the way, says, Dr. Shabir is our top scorer in the Bundesliga. Played on Thursdays and Sundays on Leeches. Well done. Thanks for that comment there. I mean, that's also nice to see the versatility in you, Shabir. You were mentioning books are important, these type of things, but you're also staying up to date with the new times, with playing online. So that's also good to see.
That's Istvan Giyongi. I think he's Gladiator.
Yes.
And he's always inviting me. And Paul Wilson.
Yes.
They're doing a lot for chess, I must say.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I've spoken to Paul a lot of times. He's also quite keen.
They're fantastic.
And Istvan also a great guy, also on my show.
I don't think chess would be the same without them.
Great guys.
You look forward to those.
Yes. And then the next question, Early B. Okay, this is just a statement. Early B says, my rating just went up by 100 just from watching this episode, lol. Okay, Early B, you're welcome. We'll bill you afterwards for the 100 points. Okay, here's an interesting one. Maybe not such a serious one, but from Zinger Wings. Zinger Wings, who just joined us, by the way, by following. He says, or he asks, who's better between you and your son? That's a bit of a tough question. I mean, it just goes with the generations, I suppose. But right now, as of now, what's your answer, Shabir?
I wish I could play bullet, because Mohammed is very good at speed chess and he's fast. If someone can get me a faster mouse, then I'll be happy, because then I can improve my chess on internet. Most of my games I actually play against Mohammed is like, I get into time trouble, and yes, he's very fast with blitz. So in blitz, he's definitely much stronger than me. And bullet, obviously, he'll beat me every game probably. Okay. So I like to analyze games. I like to think, like, and I like to calculate tactics and combinations. That's me, combinational player. But in a serious game, I can out-prepare him.
Okay, interesting stuff.
I can out-prepare him.
All right.
Because I know the lines that he plays. But it's tough. It's very tough. He plays very well. Yeah.
Okay, interesting stuff. I might have to get Mo onto the channel as well at some point for him to reply.
I think positionally he plays better than me, but tactically I'm a bit sharper.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that one, Shabs. Let's see. If you will allow us, okay, I still have a few questions from the good Dr. Boa. If you will allow us, Shabir, one or two more questions from the chat, and then we'll switch over to the games. Is that okay with you?
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, so let's see. Patrick Lee Ying, also a previous guest of ours, special guest on the show. He says, hello, Dr. Shabir. Do you remember coming to my house to play blitz games when you visited Mauritius in the 1990s?
Yes, I remember with Dr. Mansour, I think.
Okay.
I remember playing him.
So I mean, Patrick saying you were at his house as well, so you made some trips to Mauritius as well. Okay, interesting stuff.
Yes.
And then one more question here from Scariest Name. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Scariest Name says, can Dr. B tell us about the time the SA chess champ came to the chess club and you challenged him to blitz? Who was that and when was this?
That was Donald McFarlane. And that was when what happened was we had just played a league game against Grassy Park. Somewhere in Grassy Park.
Okay.
And I was playing for Athlone Chess Club. And then somebody came into this playing hall and says the SA champion Donald McFarlane is playing at somebody's house in Grassy Park.
Okay.
And I thought, now I've heard of Donald McFarlane, because what happened was I was offered a ticket to go to America to go play with Donald McFarlane and study in America.
Okay.
That was probably in 1988 or 89.
Okay.
But the organizers wanted me to go and further my university career, study overseas.
Okay.
But obviously I had my views about that, so I didn't go. But then I was invited. They said, they're loading me in the car now. I must go and play Donald McFarlane at this house.
Okay.
And then I went there, and then that time I was probably a bit naive. And I played him, I beat him like probably 2-3 games. And then I just got up and I walked away and I said, I'm the South African champion, not you. and then after that, I was banned for quite some time.
Oh, no.
for playing a friendlies.
All right.
And then my chess career came to an end, kind of for about 3-4 years. I had to go play quietly chess on the other side to enjoy my game.
Okay, yes. Okay. Interesting
Contrary
stories.
to my political beliefs.
I mean, to me, it's completely foreign, all of these stories, because I mean, I only started playing chess like maybe 2000, 2001. So it's interesting.
But that cost me, that mistake cost me a lot later on, because whenever they were looking for players to go play in an Olympiad team, they considered that action of mine.
Okay.
That was very sad. It was very sad. It still haunts me today.
Okay.
And I'm glad I could bring it out.
All right. Interesting stuff. Thanks for sharing that one with us, Shabir. Okay, so last question, and then I will switch over to my questions. I still have 2 or 3 left. Early B says, I'm currently an intermediate player. Any recommendation on a book to get? What?
Yes.
Okay, intermediate is very broad, but anything that you can recommend as a book one can look at to improve.
Look, I suggest that you must first build up an opening repertoire so that you can understand the patterns in chess. What opening you're going to play against any opponent, okay. Your pet variations. Once you've mastered your opening, you can, and you'll find a lot of good opening books. And then you can study your middle game. You can also find good books on middle games. But if you want to study your end game, you go to Dvoretzky's end game manual, and that will teach you. Once you play your end game very well, you'll automatically condition yourself to play a good game to get to the end game. So Dvoretzky's end game manual, and then also study your chess openings. Basically, that's what I can say to you.
Okay,
improve your chess. But the most important thing is to get practice. He has to play a lot of games to get that practice and the experience in playing good chess.
Some good advice over there, guys. Thanks, Shabir. And yeah, I'm going to switch over to my questions. We can maybe see at the end of the show if we can do more questions. Thanks for all the questions, guys. We've got a lot of questions today. It's good to see. But yeah, Dr. Bawa is going to kick me if I don't get some of these questions over to you, Shabir. So yeah, let's see. Another one from our side. Is it true that you love Blitz? Okay, we've touched on Blitz already. So
yeah. Who's asking that question?
This is now from Dr. Bawa himself. This is from the reflections.
Yes. Now what happened was Alexis Strikovic was staying with me.
Yes.
And he always told me that he's never come across a person that's so addicted to Blitz chess. I would wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and I would go to Strikovic and ask him, would you like to play some Blitz?
Wow, nice. And then would he say, yes, let's go? Was there some
yes, because he also, I used to see him playing on the internet. Yeah. Then I would tell him, oh, no, come on, you rather come play against me. Let me get the experience. Nice. So I love Blitz and I love playing against the junior Blitz.
Nice. Okay.
I just love it. And I'll give them a game or two just to make them feel confident so they can become strong.
Nice.
I think Blitz is a very good way of improving your chess as well.
Yes,
not bullet chess.
Yes, I agree with you on that one. Okay, and next question. When did you become a world amateur champion?
That was in 2003. I took off from my work. This is where the private career, your career comes in. I must have taken off about two months from work completely.
Okay.
And I just trained for that because I didn't just play I played in the World Amateur Championship.
Yes.
And the SA Open.
Yeah, I remember
at the same time, yes. And then I also played in the Blitz.
Ooh.
And I think in the SA Open, I came second. Kenny Solomon must have come first. Yeah. Okay. And I remember playing Makoto as well in that SA Open. So at least there I got a good result in the SA Open. And then the World Amateur, I trained very hard because I really wanted to win it.
Okay.
It was a tough tournament.
So you came second at SA Open and then you won the World Amateurs as well.
At the same time.
That was a brilliant run for you.
Yeah, in the same week or first 2 weeks. Yeah. And then the Blitz also I think I came second.
Oh, wow. Okay, that is a brilliant run. So the time took off from work must have, it felt good to actually get the results after that. Yeah. So, okay, that's fantastic. And another question is, you represented South Africa at the All African Games in Nigeria. What are your memories of that event?
Oh, that was a fantastic event. Donovan van der Heever, I mustn't forget, he's also a very strong player. He was with us. Lyndon Bower was our captain. And we played against some strong players from Egypt and Tunisia.
Okay.
So it was a very good experience. Practically, it helps your rating points tremendously to play against these strong players. Even players from Nigeria were there. Then there was a small island, the Principe of Sayatome.
Okay.
And they asked us, I don't know if it was London but they asked me also, they would like to have a coach, but they can't afford to have one. So we must volunteer. I had to volunteer to coach them. It's a small island off the west coast of Africa. And hopefully one day can still coach them.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
But it just shows that from the most remotest places, people still want to play chess.
Yes, like you said, very universal. So, okay, interesting stuff. And then you recently played for South Africa at the World Senior Olympiad. How did you find the competition there?
The competition was very tough. Fortunately, we had a very strong team. Dion Pick, Gordon Lawrence, Cecil Olsen, and Mark Lewis, and myself.
Okay.
Those players from Europe are all conditioned, seasoned players. So we didn't have much spare time. We had to go and prepare for every game, theoretically prepare ourselves so that at least we can put up a strong competition. And the Blitz, I did very well. I think I came third in the Blitz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice. That was individual Blitz. Yes.
And tell me, what are the big names that you saw there at that Olympiad?
Yeah, I met Vastimil Holt.
Oh wow, that's one of my favorite guys to watch. He's got a nice chess-based DVD out as well. Very cool guy, Vastimil Holt.
Yeah, and then Evgeny Saveshnikov was there as well.
Big name, yes.
And there was some very strong Russian players as well.
Okay.
That were there. And women players, very strong women players.
Okay.
Played.
I mean, I think what I've
also... names that you read about, that you meet up.
Yes. I've checked some results and it definitely seems tough and interesting to be there. So, very nice tournament.
I'm looking forward to it again, if I get the opportunity to play there amongst these top players.
Okay, so next question. We are almost done with our questions, and then we can move on to the games. Do you still play in many events? And what drives your passion?
I will play in every event that's possible over the board, because I prefer over the board.
Yeah.
But now we're just settled to playing on the internet, and that is quite enjoyable, but not as enjoyable over the board to see your opponent suffering.
Definitely, I can agree to that. So what drives your passion? Why?
I just love chess to the core. It's a game that, like I said, it opens a kaleidoscope for you in life in terms of people that you meet all over the world. It binds people together.
Okay, thanks for that one. And I've got a question here that is kind of linked to the book question as well. Which is, what's your favorite book? What is your personal favorite chess book?
For Bobby Fischer's 60 Memorable Games. I really enjoyed that. It teaches you about tactical and positional play, which is rare. Most of the, I mean, Bobby Fischer was just a master in all forms of play, whether it's tactical or positional. But the other book that I also enjoy reading was this Endgame Manual by Mark Dvoretsky.
Okay.
I always recommend that book. And then Nimzovich's book, the starting of book that teaches you everything about planning in chess and positional play.
Yes. So that's My System, or which one are you referring to?
My System. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, My System. Nimzovich, My System.
Okay. Okay. So again, guys, some good books. I think throughout these episodes of reflection, you can make a good list of books that you can actually try to get hold of with all these good recommendations. And then my final question to you is, What do you think? How do you describe your own style of chess? How can you describe your own style of play?
I describe myself mainly as a combinational tactical player. I don't like boring games. You know, I like to see activity of my pieces, and they say if you're in a bad position, it's difficult to find a good move. And with chess, it's like this: if you don't play at your normal strength, it can be very despondent psychologically as well, because you won't perform well if you have a negative attitude. So basically, you must put in everything into that single game to get your results.
Okay. Interesting. Thanks for that one, Shabir. And then, so my questions are done. We can move over to the chessboard just for one final question in the chat box. In fact, there's two things. There's a statement. So I just want to, without anybody feeling they left out. There's one interesting question here from Monster Frick. Monster Frick says, "Good evening, gentlemen. My question to Dr. B tonight is: you've made us all aware of your love for blitz games. Others learned the hard way. It's remarkable that you can continue with the same exceptional results in the longer format. Impressive. Now I would like to know from you that if I come to you with a tooth problem, is it going to be a blitz thing or a somewhat longer and more relaxed experience?"
Okay, that must be Daniel Barish.
No, that's not Daniel. That's Monster Frick, which is Jacques Frick, actually.
Oh, Jacques Frick.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Look, what I'll do is I'll give him the dental treatment and things like that he needs. But then after that, I need to get some kind of reward by playing blitz against him.
Good answer.
It's happened where most of my patients that play chess will have a few blitz games after that. Nice. Or before.
Nice, yes. Nice. Okay, and last one in the chat, then we're done, completely done. So Dion,
and the chess game is mainly to forget about the pain.
Oh yeah, no, the
chess game, it just takes your mind off everything else. All your problems are just wished away. You don't have to drown in your sorrows when you're playing a game of chess.
Nice one. So last question in the chat box from Dion Brandt. Hi Doc. I can recall how I joined Western Province League as captain/manager of Metropolitan Chess, and we joined in the D division and moved every year till we reached A division. Then the team struggled in the A division, although we got some good wins also against you. Do you think Western Province Chess can do more to keep league players motivated to play?
Yeah, when you say leading players, do they want to be financially remunerated? That's going to be out of the question, because it's difficult to get funding and things like that. They must play for the love of the game, and they must play so that more people can come into the flow of the game and get our juniors motivated. Once they leave school, the juniors, they don't play chess much anymore, and one needs to address that problem. We need to keep them going, playing chess. And I'm very impressed. I just played in the Western Province Open yesterday, and I was very impressed with some of those youngsters that played. Yeah. Tezano, and there was another guy, Dr. Wittman. Okay. I think those are juniors that are coming up and playing very well. I'm very impressed, and I would like to motivate them.
Great stuff, yeah. I think I played Tiziano as well in the last, I think my last over-the-board tournament in Western Province Open. He gave me a very tough time, actually. So
I think he's very talented. Very talented.
Okay, so now, by the way, Monster Frick just says, he replies to your answer, Doc. He says, the Doc has already crushed me twice in the recent online events. So yeah, you can definitely still feel the pain. So, but let's switch over to the chessboard now. And here we are at the chessboard. And which game are we going to start off with, Shabir? Which one would you like to show us?
Let's start with my immortal game against Gordon Lawrence.
Okay.
I played that at the age of 15.
Wow. Okay.
It was the juniors versus the seniors at Spesbona. No, it was at Athlone Chess Club.
Okay, so you were the junior.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting stuff. So you have the board right in front of you. You've got the game ready, right? You can start whenever you are ready. Shabir, do you have your study open?
I'm going to check it now. I should have it.
Let's see if you are online here with us. Yeah, it says that you're online with us, so you should just find your tab there that you should open. You can, I think you can minimize your Zoom and try to find it.
I've got it.
You
want to go over? Which game do you want to go over?
We can start with that immortal one. That I'm very happy. You can just decide which one. So we can start with the Gordon Lawrence one versus yourself. You've got the black pieces.
Okay. Let me just. Is it? Yeah, we're on it.
Yeah, I can see it.
But I'm just trying to find the camera.
That you maybe not minimize the camera, isn't maybe a small box. I can still see you though.
Yeah, that's fine. And I did minimize it. Okay. So
all sorted?
Yeah, but now I've got the game of Calvin Klaasen. Okay, now let's just
that's a different one.
Yeah.
So you have to be in my Leechest study.
I've got it. Yes, I've got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Right, so
we start off. Gordon Lawrence and myself. This was the juniors versus the seniors.
Okay.
And I was playing board 1, and Gordon Lawrence was playing board 1 as well.
Okay.
For the seniors. So let's go for it.
Yep. Will you start?
You want to move it? Yes, I'll move it.
Okay, I'm gonna start. Did you see me playing e4?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can go ahead and continue, and you'll know when to stop and so on.
Okay. So basically, Gordon Lawrence at that time was also very theoretically clued up.
Yeah.
Still now too, and he likes playing active attacking games as well.
Okay.
So he starts off with the bishop's 2 knights opening.
Scotch Gambit.
Scotch Gambit, yes, but with bishop to c4. So that can transpose into many lines. The Max Lang attack, the 2 knights defense. So I play the 2 knights defense. I avoided bishop to c5 because at the time the Max Lang attack was like archaic. A lot of people, it was a lot of book theory on there. Okay. Now the computers are finding better lines. So I play this system, the 2 knights.
Shabir, I just have a question actually for you. This is a random question, just because I'm not an e5 player, and I just have a question. Not a lot of people play this. Is this still playable? Are you as an e5 player? Is this fine for black, or is it not?
This is still fine. This is still fine. It's called a Funder Lhasa with bishop to c5, or the Max Lang. Okay. But it's highly theoretical. You have to know your lines very well if you're going to play bishop to c5. The other way of
in this position where white castled instead of e5. This one here, do you see that?
Yes. Instead of e5, yes, I know. So you can actually play, you mean black's replies to this can either be d6 or bishop to c5. d6 is less theoretical.
Oh, okay, I get you.
Knight takes e4 is still very tricky.
Yeah.
But you have to know your theory on that.
Because that's actually the move that I saw. I mean, like I said, I'm not an e5 player. I thought this was the only move. Thanks, Tyler.
Now, you know what? After knight takes c4, after knight takes, you can just play c3 and go into a wild gambit.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Or you can play rook to e1, and then
I saw some funny line where you go rook e1, d5.
Yes. Bishop takes or knight
c3 or what?
Knight c3, yes. That's a line. It's playable, but it's bad. You have to know your stuff here for black.
Okay.
Yes.
But anyways, I'm going.
You can play that in blitz, not in. I played that knight c3 line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you go knight f6, and your opponent goes e5, d5, of course, bishop b5. This is mainline stuff with knight e4, knight takes d4. Yes. You unpin. Bishop takes.
Now, he's going back. Instead of bishop to d7, there's a very active line here. bishop to c5, it's also playable, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, that's also playable.
I remember seeing, I think it was it Watto at some SA Open that also tried something?
Against Van Tonder.
Was it Van Tonder? Okay, I'm thinking about the later SA Open, maybe against Smurden or someone like that from Australia.
And Smurden, he played against Smurden as well.
So yeah, I have seen that it's possible, yes.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Smurden likes to play this as white.
Yes.
The bishop d7 is safer.
And mainline, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so takes, castle, bishop c5.
Now there's lines for white. You can go bishop e3 or you can go f3.
Okay, bishop e3 also a line. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not too clued up with these lines.
Yeah, bishop to e3, you can play queen to b8 and attack b2. That's just a sideline, okay?
Okay, interesting.
But that's a sideline.
Okay.
I don't want to go into that theory.
Yeah.
Okay.
F3.
So f3.
Knight drops back.
Yes.
And f4.
Now the point of if you go immediately bishop to e3, you can play queen to e7.
You mean instead of f4, bishop e3, yeah?
Yeah, bishop e3 is playable.
And then queen e7.
And then queen e7.
Okay.
And also get into quite a theoretical line. And then f4, knight e4, knight to d6, you can take there with check. So I'm sorry, you can play, now you can play, say white plays c3.
Yeah.
Say, and he wants to bolster d4. Yes. Then you can play knight to d6.
Oh, okay. Interesting with the bishop that's hanging over there.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And then where's the knight going to f5 or c4 sometimes?
You want to grab hold of the f5 square. You must you don't want white to play f5. So you're going to play your knight to f5, chase the bishop, and then play h5, and you can even castle queenside. It's just a sideline.
Okay, interesting stuff over there. By the way, Tyrone Foster is our latest follower. Welcome.
Very nice. Thanks.
And he says, "Hi there, Shabir. It is Fani Foster."
Okay, great.
Okay, and he says after rook e1, we're going into Paul Morphy game. Okay. Yes, that was early on. Yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, early on, Paul Morphy's defense. That's right.
Yes.
And he's quite right.
He also mentioned here, against Watto against the later Ronnie Van Tonder. Yeah, okay, we mentioned that. Okay, thanks. So
and then Fani Foster is very good on the black side of the knight store.
Okay, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Yeah. So in this game, after f3, knight g5, instead of bishop e3, your opponent played f4.
F4 because he thinks he's going to win a tempo. All right.
Okay. So
but then I looked at this over the board.
I thought that maybe is knight e4 not the main move here, theoretically?
It's the best move, actually.
Okay.
It's probably the best because when you play knight to e6, you might bolster white center and you can't break it because he gets a grip on d4 and c5. And that is the danger of this. Now, Smurden plays this very well.
Yes.
I've seen him crushing many people with white.
Okay.
Yes.
So instead of this, can you explain what's happening here and how do you came up with the choice, your next move?
Okay. I must have spent about 10 minutes analyzing this. And it crossed my mind, why don't I do a double rook sacrifice?
Okay. And this was over the board you came up with this?
Yes. Why don't you have a double rook sacrifice here?
That's so casually said. Why not just let's do a double rook sacrifice?
Because of queen takes g7, but I get active play for my other pieces, for my minor pieces.
Okay.
And I was about 15 years old. And then I didn't see this. I only saw knight to e4 probably theoretically. So yes. I was only prepared for that. But then I thought, let's try another move. And I looked at bishop g4 because the knight is not protected on d4. And doesn't give me a tempo because if I sack the pawn on g7 with the queen coming there, I had to calculate very deeply here to make sure that I don't come out on the bad side of this whole variation of this whole combination. So after my analysis at the board, I realized that maybe I could still play bishop g4 and unsettle my opponent.
Wow.
And then fight the game positionally if he decides to protect d4 or try to keep control of the d4 square. Okay, so bishop g4.
So you hit bishop g4, Shabir, and I must just say, I mean, or maybe I need to commend you on this, because I mean, playing a new move at the board, on the board
Yes.
one, as a 15-year-old against the seniors board one, it takes a bit of guts to play like this. So
it was a lot of calculation involved actually at the time. So and I think we had to win. The seniors had already proven themselves by beating all the schools guys, the youngsters.
Okay.
So in any case,
bishop g4, novelty.
Bishop g4.
Okay.
Yeah. So the line goes, you can either move the queen away or you can take the bishop. I think my opponent didn't take the bishop, right?
Yes.
Then I decided he played queen to d3.
But can you just give us a very short explanation? After queen takes, what happens? Bishop takes, check.
Bishop takes,
king
to h1.
And then
knight to e4.
Knight e4.
Knight to e4. Now queen takes g7.
Queen g7.
Queen takes g7. Queen to h4.
Aha, this is where the double rook sacrifice comes in.
Yes.
Queen h4, the rook is hanging on h8.
Okay, so take the rook.
Takes.
Now there's two moves, king to e7 and king to d7. King to e7 it's not as strong as king to d7. So let's play king to d7.
King to d7.
Because after king to e7, you don't have to take the second rook.
Aha.
Okay. So now king to d7. Yeah.
King d7.
Take that rook.
So
now
also
e6. Now instead of taking the that's mate, knight to g3. Okay.
Knight to g3 would just simply be mate, yeah.
The mate, yes.
Okay.
So what you play here? You play d6, e6.
E6 check. Okay.
Right. Pawn takes e6. Queen takes d4. Knight to g3 check. King to g1 and knight to e2.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's what I had to calculate in this line.
Nice. Nice finish. Okay. Beautiful stuff. So you can't actually take both rooks.
You can't take both rooks.
Very interesting stuff. So your opponent sensed the danger. How long did he take to respond with this?
Simply loses.
Can you remember at all?
Time took a long time when he saw bishop to g4.
Okay.
Because Gordon was quite clued up, but I don't think nobody has played that bishop to g4 then. The bishop to g4 appeared later on in Chess Informants. And then there's the other guy, the South African Tim Kett. He also started playing bishop to g4 in the 80s.
Okay.
But it's not a very strong move according to the engine. Now, those days you never had engines.
That was, yeah, okay. Interesting stuff. So queen d3 played.
And now I play bishop to f5 again.
Wow, this bishop is just chasing the queen. And
I could have played bishop to e2 as well.
Yeah.
Forcing, but the problem with this is queen to c3.
Whew.
You give up the exchange, but you attack c6. Bishop can't take on f1. You can take queen takes
Queen takes c5, and then c6 is also.
Then the black is just lost.
And the knight's also still hanging on g5. So yeah, there's problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
So bishop to f5.
Very tactical. Okay. Bishop f5. Yeah. Again, the queen declines the free-looking bishop. The queen e3. Yes. And it seems like you already got that grip on the square that you said was important.
No, you're fighting for the d4 square. D4 and c5 squares. If you can get your pawns moving d5 and c6 and c5, then you're doing well for black.
Yeah.
But the main thing about this is the control of the d4 square and the pawns storm on the king side by white.
Yes.
Maybe later on with g4 and stuff like that and f5. Okay.
Okay, so white has to protect. It goes c3.
c3. But so far, I've kept white behind in tempo and development.
Exactly.
With my piece maneuvers.
And then white played this move, queen f2, probably with bishop e3 in mind.
Yes, and getting solid again.
Yes.
White is trying to stabilize the position.
He just needs one or two more tempi to stabilize.
Yeah.
So
and then it's good. Knight, bishop e3, knight d2. Bishop e3, knight d2, and knight d to b3. White is doing well.
Yeah, like he's got a grip on the dark square. So you try to destabilize. You're trying to take advantage of your lead in development. So I like this next move. Pawn to f6, just trying to blast open lines.
Yes.
Nice. So pawn to f6. White went bishop to e3.
Yeah.
I mean, if white takes on f6, you can probably just go what? Queen takes?
Queen takes f6.
And then there's more problems on d4.
And rook a to e8, and then I'm just
everybody's in the game, yeah. So
and,
white,
and also you place your bishop on e4 later on.
Aha.
And you attack g2, and you airlift your rooks to g6.
Yes. Okay, so bishop e3, take on d4, takes bishop b6, just keeping the pressure on that pawn. Queen d2. White, I guess, needs to get his queen off that file over there.
Yes.
So queen d2, pawn takes e5, pawn takes e5, and now starts the operations on the light squares. Queen e8. Yes. And this is, of course, White's long-term compromise that he's made early on in the game by giving up his light squared bishop. Light squares can be an issue. This guy is still on the board.
And the thing is, I've also got active play on the f file, although White's only compensation here is the passed e pawn. You know what Aaron Nimzovich said about passed pawns. A passed pawn is a criminal. you have to take care. You know, when you're playing grandmasters, they're always using their passed pawns as a decoy.
That's a nice one. I'm gonna remember that one. Passed pawn is a criminal. You need to watch him. Okay, so queen to e8, knight c3. Finally, white completes his development. Queen g6, and the light squares are being targeted. Knight to a4.
Yes. Just to get rid of my bishop and get into an opposite color bishop ending, and that kind of might be able to draw the game after exchanging the knight for the bishop.
And by the way, Fani says in the chat box, passed pawn is a criminal, should be put under lock and key. That is the full quote.
Oh, that's the full quote, yes.
Okay, bishop to d3 played, hitting the rook on f1, and that's actually a very nice move because basically you are claiming the f file now.
Yes.
That's a nice one. White decides to keep the rooks on the board. I mean, the rook takes f8, rook takes f8 doesn't look any more appetizing.
Although bishop, bishop e4. That's right.
Bishop belongs on e4, like you've mentioned earlier.
I just need to keep. I need to, even if he exchanges my dark squared bishop, the issue is that I've still got. When you've got opposite color bishops, the side that's attacking normally, you have a big advantage.
It's almost like you're extra piece up.
Yeah.
So that bishop on e3 is not making a good impression. So
not at all. Yeah.
Okay, so pawn to g3, light squares opening up.
That's a prophylactic move to prevent, to free the queen. Right.
Okay. Now g2 was under pressure over there. Rook to f3. Now you're invading. Knight takes, and the normal automatic move would be, or the automatic thinking should be c takes b6 or a takes b6. What did you think of here?
That's right. Yes, no, I thought of sacrificing. Now my theory of Tel's books that started helping here, because now I thought if I once I take on b6 and he plays bishop f2 or rook back to
f1 maybe.
Yeah, but there's still rook takes g3. So I think my position is still good here.
But I mean, it probably is still good. But I mean, if you see something good immediately, why not?
Yeah, no, just go for the active play.
And I don't know, maybe someone must clip it, or we'll check afterwards, Shabir. But I like that quote. I mean, if you just clip that segment of ours, I'm asking you what to recapture. What? C takes b6, A takes b6. Your response? Let's sacrifice.
Yeah, in this case, you probably will have to take with the C pawn. The reason why is C6 is going to stay weak forever.
Okay.
Yeah, they normally say it's capture towards the center. Normally capture towards the center. But once he plays A3, he just got control. A3 got control of the black squares.
Yeah.
But the issue is, yeah, I've got an attack. So
yes.
It's irrelevant. Maybe the attack comes first.
So someone in the chat box has spotted, I think, your next move, Shabir, and you're going for the kill with your next move.
Go for the kill. Go for the jugular.
Yeah. So rook takes G3, brilliant. So why do we need to recapture on B6 at all when we have a winning attack?
Yes.
And so rook takes G3 check. White has to accept.
Yeah.
Takes. There's no blocking on G2 because this bishop is taking away everything.
Yeah.
King has to go to F1. And of course, naturally, you include your last piece into the attack. Rook F8 check. Bishop to F2. Blocking. Bishop D3 check. All three pieces are doing a great job over here. King to E1. And maybe this is giving a flashback to someone else's immortal game as well. Shabir, I'll let you give the final moves over there. But this definitely looks like a beautiful immortal game finish.
One of our audience can see. So I mean, our audiences can definitely see that by far.
Yes, it's already, Fani is on top of it. Fani says queen to G1. Yes. Queen to G1. And that's a beautiful queen sack, guys. The white king is stuck. He can't go anywhere. Nobody to block with. He has to accept the bait. And yes, the people in the chat box is also saying rook F1, mate. Almost like Paul Morphy over there. Definitely a beautiful finish and a beautiful game, Shabir. Wow. For a 15-year-old boy, I mean, that's amazing. The novelty, the bishop and the queen tango, first bishop G4, bishop F5, actively playing F6, and just
and coming just to the position where I played this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Against Daniel Caudry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played bishop to F5.
Yes.
And the game went on maybe for another 1 or 2 moves.
Yeah.
And Caudry resigned.
Ooh. Which tournament was this?
This was at this was in Johannesburg about 2 years ago. It was hosted by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay. Was that one of those festivals?
Yes, one of those chess festivals.
Okay. I think I heard of that. I never saw the game exactly.
Caudry didn't know the theory of this, and he was quite shocked in the blitz.
I mean, Caudry, or maybe one of the top theorists, theorists in the whole of South Africa. You all know what he can do, and you get such a nice.
But it's difficult to find it. It's difficult to find a continuation in blitz. There is lines for why, but it's difficult to find in a blitz game.
Yeah,
in a classical game,
I must say. Yeah,
I wouldn't play this in a classical game against a very strong player.
Wow, but I mean, I might have to throw in a couple of E5 games just to get Bishop G4 in at some time in some blitz games online. But that's an amazing game. Well played, Shabir, and especially for that time against the seniors board one. Beautiful stuff. In the chat box, the guys are also saying beautiful, fantastic. Scariest name says Dr. Shabs has so many immortal games that you should start numbering them. Wow. Okay. Okay. Thanks, guys. And brilliant game, Shabir. Which one are we looking at next?
We want to look at Nigel Short's game.
Nigel Short, we can have a look at that one.
Yeah.
So
and then the third game I included was just to show you the bag of tricks.
Aha. Yeah, of course, the famous bag of tricks that Shabir brings to the chess tournament.
I was putting it in for consolation for Lyndon to see. He was probably enjoying it if he saw the game.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, so this one, you've got the black pieces again, and you are playing the famous Nigel Short. Where and when was this one?
What happened was in Glen Vista, where I was staying in Johannesburg. I was staying there, and Nigel Short came to play there. They called it the $1 Million Challenge.
Okay.
So everybody had to beat Nigel Short.
Oh, wow.
They were going to give them quite a large sum of money.
Wow.
But of course, Nigel Short would be the first to grab it. Knowing him, he's a good friend of mine. So we played a simultaneous of, I think it was only 10 players were allowed to play.
Yeah.
And Mohammed was playing. Mohammed did quite well. He lasted quite long. Mohammed was a junior at the time.
Yeah.
And then I played this famous game against Nigel Short. It appeared, somebody told me from Russia that they've seen this game.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice.
They've seen it all over the world on chess base, I think.
Ooh, okay, nice one.
The
nice
chess
one.
database, yeah.
Okay.
And then when Nigel met me in India, he told me, "Did you go put the game?" I said, "No, I didn't." I blame Gunther, but I don't know who did.
Okay, but you say this was in that simul that Mo also participated in, the same one.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, right.
I included this game because it has a very deep positional understanding from both sides, even with Nigel Short's typical maneuvering in the game of how he maneuvers his rooks and his minor pieces, and just waiting for me to create weaknesses in the Rilo pairs so that he can crush me. Okay, so let's go for it.
By the way, Fani says in the chat box, I remember that Russian guy played Tomkin. He also drew against Nigel that day. Okay, anyway, so let's...
Okay, that's good.
Let's check it out. So Nigel's got the white pieces. So you go E5, knight F3, knight C6. We're going into these E4, E5 lines again. Nigel playing, of course, I would say nowadays maybe not, maybe the predominant.
There was no engines. There was no engines that time.
Yeah.
I mean, we never had access to engines.
Yeah.
So this game I only analyzed later on in life.
So mainliner Lopez stuff, and we see.
Yeah, but I wanted to play the martial attack, and he avoids it now.
I was gonna say now we looking at you possibly playing the martial, but H3 is one of the anti-martial moves. But I mean nowadays you can still force in D5.
They still play the martial. They still play it with D5.
I think Bishop B7 first, and if White goes C3, then D5, something like that.
D5, yes.
So White has to instead play D3. I think Mo actually.
Daniel Dubov plays this still with and Wesley So.
I remember one game I think Mo actually beat me in a Cura Open or something in this line as black. So
with D5. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, it's just me playing bad, horrible in the middle game over there. Nothing to do with the opening. But anyways, so H3. So you decide to go back to mainline stuff with D6, C3, F5. So this is what is this called again? What
this
also
is
plays
this?
This was
the Chigoran system.
Yeah, the Chigoran system. D4, Queen C7, Knight BD2, and maybe not the main line. Bishop B7. I think the main line is something like pawn takes pawn, and then Bishop B7.
And then play
Bishop
knight
D7.
to C6.
I think Bishop
you
D7.
Can play, or knight back to C6.
Yes.
And then Bishop B7.
Oh, okay. But you go Bishop B7, also possible. And Nigel decides to close the position immediately to kind of like blunt that Bishop on B7. Pawn to H6. Pawn to B3. Rook to E8. So typical stuff from your side.
Michael Tal used to like this, the way of playing it for White.
Oh, okay.
With D5 and B3.
B3 kind of restricting the knight. Allowing knight C4 over there. Knight F1. Both guys maneuvering a bit. All the pieces still on the board, everyone. Knight 3 to H2.
Typical attack with Queen to F3. Yes.
And Bishop C8 drops back. More maneuvering. The Bishop wants to maybe improve on that side. And also give the knight some space to go to B7 at some point. Queen to F3 with a small little threat of Bishop takes H6 in the air.
Yeah, very good.
Knight to H7. Knight to G3 and G6, also typical stuff here, just controlling
get the
more
bishop
squares.
Active and stop and take away the squares for the white knight.
Knight to G4, and here comes an interesting decision. Bishop takes knight. So was that forced, Shabir, or was H5 possible or not?
Forced. I think it's forced.
Okay.
H5 is too weakening against a grandmaster like Nigel Short. He'll probably kill me after that.
Yeah, it seems like in the long run, those squares might be a problem. So you decide just rather give up your light square bishop.
And I can never, if I want to play F5, I can never get it in with H5.
H5, yeah. So takes interesting with the pawn. I guess he's trying to also stop F5.
I've played many games like this with white, with the pawn on G4.
And then sometimes you get G3, King G2, and Rook H1. Yep.
That's right. That's my motive.
So knight to G5 was played, Queen E2, knight B7. So the knight finally gets off the side.
That is the weakest. That piece is the weakest in Black's camp.
Yeah.
So you must try to reposition it maybe to C5.
Yes. Yeah. Knight F1 and then pawn to C4. So maybe, is there anything that white could have done to stop the C4 move? Could he have played C4 himself maybe?
He can play C4 himself.
Maybe that was...
issue is, I played bishop to G7, rook to F8, knight to D8, and I repositioned the knights.
Your knight can perhaps go to F7 at some point as well. Okay, so that was a possibility, but okay, knight F1 was played, and C4 a nice move because you want to get knight C5 in. And Nigel stops the knight. A5, I like this. So you're taking initiative. White would, of course, like to play A4, but now you're basically stopping.
He would have loved to play that. Yeah. But now there's a small nuance in the position, and Nigel actually spotted it. So he plays A3.
A3, yeah.
A3.
Takes.
And now he took, if he takes on G5, bishop takes G5, and he spotted this positional weakness.
Yeah.
Right? Now you know what Black plays. I would have played.
Pawn to B3? Interesting stuff.
Yes. A3 remains a permanent weakness. C3 remains a permanent weakness.
Nice.
And he spotted this during the game. That was my whole idea for playing C4 and A5.
So if he saves any one of the bishops, let's say he goes bishop E3.
Any of the bishops, then I'm Black is much better.
That A3 pawn is weak. You have knight C5. You can double up. Beautiful stuff.
There's an important point I want to tell you in this type of line. With the bishop on E3, right? With the bishop on E3. Now, Bobby Fischer played this against Spassky, but the A file was open. And Karpov has also used it. They played bishop to E7 to prevent the rook exchanges. It's called a four-post.
Bishop A7.
But the file must be open first.
Yes. I remember that. There's a famous game from Karpov.
The famous game, Karpov and Bobby Fischer against Spassky. Bishop to A7, it's a four-post, and it allows you to double the rooks and not exchange rooks.
Yeah, that is a nice one in that Lopez, yes. So yeah, that is quite a nice nuance in this position. So it seems like, okay, obviously just to show the viewers.
Now he has to capture with a C-pawn, which is a positional weakness.
White would have loved this situation, by the way, but then you won't get that. So you say he has to take with a C-pawn, and that's definitely a positional concession. Yeah.
Yeah, now I've got a permanent pass-pawn criminal. C-pawn. Okay.
Beautiful. Okay, so we've got something to work with here already. Bishop to E7 played.
Yes.
So what's your idea with bishop E7?
I want to take with the bishop if it takes on G5, not with the pawn.
And your king can always go stand on G7 now.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Pawn to G3, king to G7, king G2, and you go rook H8 already, kind of anticipating white putting his rook on H1.
Yeah.
Pawn to F4.
Good move, yeah.
Knight H7.
Yes.
Knight to H2. And that F4 move kind of gives your bishop some life now.
And that was my idea of playing bishop to E7 to use this outpost on E5.
So now all of a sudden that bishop is looking kind of good. So white has to dodge that.
And now white is regrouping his pieces again.
Queen to D7.
Good maneuvering. Yes.
Rook F1. And here comes a interesting move here. Pawn to G5.
Yeah, I have to make a concession. Keep the white-scared bishop out of the game forever.
Okay, and now white basically also does something curious, but I mean, okay, he takes here, but the thing is, white's not going to get anything out of F5 really, because he doesn't have any break left. He can't break through on the king side, and we still have the idea of doubling up.
On H5.
Yes. And
Yes.
you've got h5 and you've got the queen side, basically.
Yes, and the queen side.
And this bishop can sometimes reroute to b6 as well and enter there. So
yes.
black has all the ideas here.
Right,
So
right.
it's looking kind of sad for white.
In the Sicilian, the bishop goes back to d8 to b6.
Yeah.
In many lines of the Sicilian.
Definitely. So g5, actually, the longer I look at it, the more I like it. So I like that.
I'm forced to kind of play something, yeah.
Yeah, so
and now it just leaves his king side very weak.
I mean, that bishop on e5 is a monster now.
It's a monster.
Bishop b1.
And the issue is he can't afford to exchange his black squared bishop for mine because of the permanent weakness on a3.
On a3, yes. And your knights will also start looking at these dark squares.
Coming into the game.
Okay, so queen to d1, knight to g6.
So the position is all about the e5 square. My bishop is either going to use it or the knights are going to use it.
Very strong hold for you there in the center. White doubles up on the f file. Pawn to f6.
And now forced to play f6.
Bishop c2.
Yeah.
And here comes your next phase.
Instead of f6, I could have played rook a2 to f8, but then I can't use my rooks anymore.
So you don't want to tie down your rooks.
I don't want to tie down my rooks. Yeah.
And it actually shows in the following couple of moves with your next plan.
That's right.
Rook h7.
Doubling behind a backward pawn.
Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. So you're just bolstering that idea of h5.
Yeah. Now, I anticipated this rook sacrifice. The grandmasters like to give that rook up for an exchange sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming by Nigel.
Especially, I mean, if you look at White's position, it's so passive, and grandmasters don't want to stay passive and wait for you.
And it improves his pawn structure as well.
Yeah. So you say you already anticipated that, knight e7, and White drops back for now.
Coming. Yeah.
h5, finally we get the breakthrough on the king side, takes, knight to g4, rook h3, hitting g3.
Yes.
And this is actually very, very difficult to you can't even play rook f3 because that blocks your queen and the knight drops.
Yes.
So White is already in trouble.
It would have only been weak if my king was on g6 because then he's unpinned himself with a check.
With a check, yes. So queen to f3 was played.
F3 is forced.
And you pick
up. I should have actually waited a bit. I should have played knight to g6 first.
Knight to g6 first, okay.
Yes, the reason why is, I found this out afterwards. White is still totally tied up because now I'm threatening mate, and I'm threatening the knight to come into the game. Okay. You can't play knight takes f6 because of rook to h1 check.
Knight takes f6.
Rook to h2 check. Rook to h2 check. King there. Rook there. And now rook check again.
Okay, if the king moves up, it's going to be mate.
Yeah.
And if the queen takes?
Yeah, take. And then I play bishop takes f6. And then queen to h3 came over. And knight comes to f4.
Check. And then knight f4, knight h4, one of the two.
Knight h4, yeah.
With a very nice attack, yeah.
Yeah. That's quite needs to be analyzed.
You could even play knight e5 as well, if nothing else.
Yes.
Just to hold everything together, and then the b7 knight slowly comes because that c2 bishop is horrible.
Push to g4 and g3.
Just a question here from Fani in the chat, by the way. Instead of queen f3, couldn't White play knight takes e5?
Knight e5 seems like a move, eh?
I'm thinking. I'm looking at check, but then the king's going
to
no, f3,
queen. Right? Rook takes g3 and queen to h3, mate.
Okay. Nice. That's a nice, beautiful finish.
Good question.
Of course, Nigel is not going to fall for that one. That's a good question, Fanny. So queen f3 played, and we pick up the queen for the two pieces.
Yeah, I was a bit hasty because I could make stronger moves, but obviously with some of the last game, you have to move faster.
Yes.
And that makes the guy quite happy because now the weaker player so-called weaker player must move faster.
And the rook h4 played, hitting the knight. Rook f5.
Yes, the exchange sack coming.
Okay,
so that's basically forced.
Because the knight can't really take again. We see mate.
Yeah.
So rook f5 takes.
Yes.
And the pawn to c3 out of the blue.
Yes.
Why pawn to c3?
Not to give the bishop the square on b2.
I like it. Bishop b2 would have been very nasty.
That's a bit dangerous because then I have to give up the exchange.
Yeah, so c3, I like that move. And then knight takes f6 played. And this is the end of my notation in my database. Do you have the next couple of moves, Shabir, for us?
It was only about 2 moves.
In fact, I got it on my phone.
I played queen takes f5. I have it.
I got it as well over here. Let me just check.
If you can get it easier for me.
Yeah, I got it here. Don't worry.
I think it was about 2 moves.
Yeah, here we go. So that was move number 47, right?
I played queen takes f5 and he banged out knight to e8 check. He literally banged that move.
Okay, obviously if white just captures, you take back and you're an exchange.
No. He banged knight to e8.
Yeah, no, but I'm just showing to the viewers if he would just... So he banged this one, you say?
Yes, because it's stronger than taking the queen.
King f8, hitting the knight still?
Yes, but the issue is that...
You still pick up the knight.
He gains tempos. And the king is not supposed to be on that square. King is supposed to be like somewhere on f6 or whatever. And then I just basically win the game because I play knight to d8 to f7 and it's just game over.
Knight to d8, then
I think the game was stopped. You have more moves.
Yeah, no, this is the last move that I have here. Knight to d8.
Because now I'm just threatening knight to f7.
Knight f7, you got everything under hold.
Knight to e5.
Knight e5, the king can join, and I mean, this is just dead for white.
And the game was actually stopped here because Advocate Kemp made a ruling that Nigel Short has to leave.
Oh, okay.
But he conceded later on and told me now he's giving me the win.
Okay. Nice one. Nice Ray Lopez game. So that's also another
a lot of positional ideas.
Yes, interesting stuff.
Lots of positional ideas, yes.
And that idea with bishop g5 and the move b3, that was I like that one as well.
And the beauty of it here also is that Nigel Short wanted the h-file for himself, but eventually the h-file became mine.
Yours, you utilized it quite nicely, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 brilliant games. One last small tantalizer you have for us, Shabir. This is now from our online play.
Yeah, I want to show you the tricks it's not going to be long. We're not going to go through the whole game for analysis. No. It's just two points in the game and then a little bit of the end game. How to fight the end game.
So will you go through it for us?
Yeah. So it's the center counter.
And your opponent is offering pawns and you say no thanks?
Yeah, no, I don't take on e6. That gambit is very strong.
Yeah, no, it's dangerous.
There's a guy in Joburg, his name is Andre Nel. He thrives on positions like this, where you take on e6. And he beat Daniel Caudry in a beautiful game. I don't know if you'll ever see that game. It's probably on maybe Fanny Foster will have it for us later on. Yeah.
Okay, so that's an interesting way. I like the way you're handling it. So you're saying no thanks to the gambit, and you just trying to transpose.
Not even the c6 pawn, not even the d6 e6 pawn.
Okay.
Yeah. So I transpose into something that I like.
Nice.
Yeah. I like my IQP, isolated pawn. That's more for the attack. And I don't mind sacking the deep, giving up the D pawn for the white squared bishop.
Okay. Early B said of the previous game, interesting that the white weaknesses was just a threat to a hold down position. And Fani says Andre is now here with us in GE. Is that Gauteng East?
Okay.
Or he says GE. I might have it wrong. I don't know what it stands for. And he always tells us about that game.
Yes.
So yeah.
He's got it posted on his wall.
Okay, so
It reminds me.
27.
Yeah, it reminds me of something. If I could mention it, and Watu won't mind because Watu is my good friend. Watu played a game against Daniel Baloyi, and Daniel Baloyi played the martial attack.
Yeah.
And it was quite a very, very interesting game. But Daniel Baloyi won it in the end. And what Daniel Baloyi actually literally did was he posted the game onto his wall. So every morning when he wakes up, he looks at the game.
Okay, motivation for you. Motivation for you. Yeah, good one.
Yeah, motivation.
Fani says GE is Ekurhuleni. Yeah, that's how I think he's probably. Anyway, so 27 played?
Yeah. So I'm just rushing through this.
Yeah, sure.
This is just simple. Now a thing to remember here is that I played A3 because I don't want the D5 square to be utilized.
Yeah.
With two knights, you know, and C6. It's just very difficult for white.
Yeah.
But here black shouldn't exchange because of the IQP, all right?
Yeah.
I don't like that. But it still maintains the blockade of the D4 square. Okay. But when you have an isolated pawn, it's always good to use this the open files next to it. So white will try to utilize the E file and the C file.
Yeah.
Okay. The C file is definitely very important because the C6, you mustn't allow that C pawn to move. All right.
Nice.
So, yeah. So now I saw that this bishop on H5 is a hanging piece. So now you have to think about how do you take advantage of the piece that's hanging? What do you actually do to get to that piece? So in this case, a lot of players will play rook to C5 immediately. You can play rook to C5 there.
It's tempting, but yeah, black has a nice counter for this one.
He just takes queen takes C5.
Nice.
And then white is just lost.
And then you've simplified things, and this bishop, these bishops.
Okay, I won't say white is lost, but
black is fine.
Black is fine.
Black is fine, yeah.
So now I'm thinking about how am I going to get to that bishop. And I thought of a plan, okay?
Okay.
Now, this is where my bag of tricks come in. So black's best move is obviously queen to D7, all right? Not queen D6 because it just gives white a tempo with bishop to F4.
Yes.
But now I thought white will definitely play queen to E4.
Okay. Pressure on F3 knight.
Back there.
Yeah.
Right?
Bishop D3.
Now he plays automatically queen to D5.
Okay.
But now the point is the bishop maneuver was to cover the queen.
Okay.
Cover the queen's backside.
Okay.
And now I play rook to C5.
Nice.
And now I win the bishop.
Nice. Nice trick over there.
Yeah, that was the trick in the position, okay? So now, but now black still gets a little bit of counterplay as well after this. The game is not easy because of my D4 pawn.
Yeah.
That's weak, right?
Yeah.
So the game continues. Black is playing quite well. Now I want to get to the C7 pawn, okay?
Yeah.
And now the problem here is that if he takes with the bishop, I just maintain the pin forever and I march H4, H5, H6 and attack on the king side, all right? Because I'm always going to exchange one of the rooks here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so now this is kind of forced. Okay, now the position is difficult, okay? But now I should never actually play A6 because in this type of ending, you must try and keep pawns on both flanks because the queen can attack either side, all right?
Yeah.
So the B7 pawn is a permanent
weakness.
Now white's strategy should be to maneuver the king into a more active position, the white king.
Yes.
Right? That's a mistake. A6 is a mistake, right? So that was the first trick. Now it's the end game, okay? Now black has allowed me to create a pass pawn, which is fine for black. I mean, fine for white. All right.
Yep. Finally, we got the pass pawn here.
Yeah, okay. There's the pass pawn. There's the criminal at large again.
Yes.
So, queen check.
Okay, so black is feeling fine because everything is protected, basically. The bishop is protecting the rook. Bishop is protected by the pawn. The other pawn is protected. So everything is pretty much covered. So how can black go wrong here? Doesn't seem obvious.
I think it's a draw here.
Yeah.
But
F5 hits the queen.
Yeah. Now queen to F8. And the point of that is that I want him to attack my pawn twice, which he does. Now it looks like he picks up the pawn.
Yes.
Okay. But I have a little trick up my sleeve here. I couldn't go queen to G7 immediately because bishop takes G7 and the king just moves
out of the way and the rook covers, yeah.
Yeah. And that Mohammed pointed out to me after the game. So I played queen to F8 first and now I check.
Queen G7. Okay. So let's just show the viewers if captures takes and there's no way for black to stop the queen. The rook is not on the G file. Nice one. Yeah. Nice. So the king had to move.
That's the trick. Yeah. And then the game just now, I made a mistake. I should play queen to H2 instead of queen to H3. Because at the end of all this, the bishop will just go back to H8. And you'll see it now. Now bishop to H8 draws. But if the queen was in H2, the bishop can't go back to H8.
Yes, because of the rook that's hanging, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so rook G5 was a blunder, and they finally pick up the bishop.
But there was nothing else. That was a blunder. That's right.
Yeah. But I mean, that was quite
and then now you just get black into Zugzwang and you pick up one of the pawns and then basically came over.
Nice.
I play queen to F6 and you win the pawn.
Okay, so
queen to F6 and then one of the pawns must go.
So you're still producing some gems online at least. There's still hope for us all if you can play decent chess online as well. So interesting stuff over there. Early B says, weird how when you mention a concept that you just spotted easy in your games. That robber, LOL. Yeah, no, it takes a lot of years of experience and these such things. But the good doctor has been practicing his tactics for many, many years, guys. So I think another great game, nice nuances over there, Shabir, and I just want to say thanks so much for showing us such nice games. Thanks so much for sharing and giving us your time this evening. It was absolutely amazing and entertaining for me. First time as well for myself doing the whole reflection show by myself. So just a shout out to Dr. Bauer as well. Pity he couldn't be here this evening. But he has, of course, orchestrated everything and got the special guest for us this evening. So I'm very grateful for that. And so, just thanks so much, Shabir, for joining us this evening. Any thoughts or comments, last comments from your side?
Yes, firstly, I'd like to thank you and Lyndon for making this happen. And I think this is great for chess in South Africa. And I'm sure there's some international people that's also been watching this. And my good friend, Gerald Times. I'm so happy that all of them can contribute to your program and make this this kind of form. It's wonderful for us to have this, and I'd like to thank the audience for their part that they play in this, because if it's not for our audience, we won't have such great pleasure out of this kind of programs. So wonderful. Thanks, Calvin. Keep it up. And I'll always support you guys with things like this. And I hope our juniors can also watch these programs so that their chess can also improve. They can only learn by watching and listening.
Great stuff.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thanks so much for those words, Shabir. And by the way, guys, what did I need to? I need to still do a few things before you go, Shabir. But in the chat box, by the way, the guys are just saying thanks so much. Early B says thanks, Calvin and Dr. Bhawoodien. And Dion Brand says, great show, guys. I will watch more. Hello, Lyndon. Thanks for the invite. And so on and so on. Yeah, what I wanted to say is, yeah, no, maybe in the near future or sometime we would love to get you on again, Shabir. I mean, you have so many nice games you've mentioned before as well. At some point, you need to join us again. So yeah. And next week, guys, I usually ask this time of the show, I usually ask Lyndon, who are we seeing next week? So next week, we have another special guest. Also a former SA champion in the name of Gordon Meyer. We have special guest Gordon Meyer on the show. So stay tuned next week. Same time, same place, 7 p.m. Dr. Boa will also be with us next week, back in action. So exciting stuff, guys. Great show with Shabir with us. And you guys, thanks, by the way, for the new followers. Thanks for the people in the chat. And you guys must enjoy the rest of your evening. Shabir, thanks, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
And you too. Thank you so much. Take care.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
cheers, guys. Cheers. Okay, so they can't see us anymore. Let me just press stop here.